Ethan Wells stared out of the small window of the transport shuttle as it moved closer to the orbital station. The cold stars stretched across the black sky like tiny diamonds scattered on velvet. He took a deep breath and tried to calm the nerves, twisting in his stomach. This was his first assignment far from Earth, and everything about it felt strange and new. The station was huge, a massive ring orbiting a gas giant named Justari Prime. It belonged to the Justari Alliance, a group of alien species working together. Ethan had heard stories about the place before he arrived. It was known for being strict, very serious, and full of customs that humans didn't always understand. Ethan was a logistics analyst. His job was to help organize supplies and data to keep the station running smoothly. It was not the most exciting work, but it paid well, and he was eager to prove himself. What made him uneasy was his new boss, Commander Vale Rhee. No one on the shuttle had talked much about her. When Ethan first met her, she seemed cold and distant. Her skin was a smooth, light blue, and her eyes shone with a soft silver glow. Her movements were precise, every step controlled. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear, but there was no warmth in it. "Welcome to Justari Station, Mr. Wells," she said the first time she addressed him, her tone formal. "Your work hours will be from 0800 to 2200. We expect dedication." Ethan nodded politely but noticed something strange. Every time he was about to leave the office after his shift, Vale Rhee was still there, standing or sitting quietly in the corner. It was as if she never left. At first, Ethan thought she just liked working late, but then he realized she stayed even when there was no urgent work to do. One evening, Ethan stayed late to finish organizing a shipment of medical supplies. He glanced at the door, ready to leave, but saw Vale Rhee still at her desk. She was looking at some holographic data, but when she noticed him watching, she quickly turned away. "Do you always stay this late?" Ethan asked, trying to break the silence. Vale Rhee looked at him for a moment, her eyes calm but unreadable. "I oversee all operations. My presence is necessary." Ethan wasn't convinced. "Is there a reason you don't leave? It's not like you have to work on everything." She said nothing, only stared at the glowing control panels. Days passed and the pattern stayed the same. Whenever Ethan worked overtime, Vale Rhee was there. It made him uncomfortable. Sometimes he tried to talk to other staff members, but they avoided the topic or gave him strange looks. One day, Ethan found the courage to ask another officer, a tall alien with 4 arms named Kalo. "Why does Commander Vale Rhee always stay here when I work late? Is that normal?" Kalo shrugged, his multiple hands folding together. "She is different. Since her husband died, she has not been the same. The Justari believe she should never be alone during her mourning. It is a tradition." Ethan blinked. "You mean she's watching me because she doesn't want to be alone?" "Yes," Kalo said quietly. "You are her companion during these hours. It is a great honor and also a burden." Ethan didn't know what to say. He felt honored, but also a little trapped. That evening, as he sat at his desk, Vale Rhee moved closer than usual. She didn't speak but just sat nearby, her hands folded. Ethan tried to focus on his work but felt the weight of her presence. It was strange. He was a human, an outsider. Yet here was this alien commander, relying on him without explaining why. The next day, Ethan arrived early and found Vale Rhee already, waiting. "You are early," she said. "I wanted to ask, what do you expect from me during these overtime hours?" Ethan asked. Vale Rhee paused. "You are to work. You are to keep me company. It is not meant to be burdensome." Ethan frowned. "Keeping you company? I don't know if I'm good at that." "You are sufficient," she said softly. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan started to understand more. Vale Rhee never forced conversation but seemed to appreciate when he spoke. He learned about the station's systems, about the different species working together, and about the careful rituals the Justari followed. One night Ethan stayed later than usual. The station's artificial gravity flickered for a moment and Alarms buzzed softly. Valerie sprang into action. She moved quickly, issuing orders and checking systems. Ethan helped where he could, following her lead. After the alarm stopped, Valerie looked at Ethan with something like a smile, a faint curve of her lips. "You did well." "Thanks," Ethan said, surprised by her warmth. That moment changed things. Ethan realized Valerie wasn't just a strict boss or a lonely widow. She was someone carrying a heavy past but still fighting to lead. As he prepared to leave for the night, Ethan looked over and saw Valerie watching the stars outside the window. For the first time, he wondered what she was thinking. Was she remembering her husband, or dreaming of something new? Ethan didn't know, but he felt one thing clearly. This job was going to be much more than paperwork and overtime. He was part of something bigger now, something that might change him forever. The days passed slowly on Justari Station. Ethan tried to get used to the quiet hum of machines and the strange customs of the Justari people. Every evening, without fail, Commander Valerie was there beside him, watching him work in silence. At first, Ethan found it strange and uncomfortable. It was one thing to have a strict boss, but another thing to have her sitting so close during overtime without saying much. He often wondered if she was judging him, or if she simply didn't trust him to do the work alone. One afternoon, after a long meeting about supply shipments, Ethan finally asked, "Commander, why do you stay with me during overtime? Is it part of your work?" Valerie looked at him with her soft silver eyes. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she spoke, her voice low and calm. "There is a tradition in my culture. After the loss of a partner, the widow must not be alone during certain times. It is believed to help the spirit find peace." Ethan blinked. "So, you stay because you're not alone?" "Yes," she said simply. "It is a ritual called the Rite of Presence. It is both a comfort and a responsibility." Ethan was surprised. He had heard of many alien customs, but this was different. It was not just about rules or work. It was personal. He nodded slowly. "I didn't know. I'm sorry if I made it awkward." Valerie's expression softened, just a little. "You did not. It is difficult to explain." Ethan wanted to learn more. Over the next few days, he asked questions whenever he could. Valerie answered patiently, sometimes quietly, but always with honesty. The Justari believed that when a loved one died, their spirit lingered in the place they last shared. The widow's presence prevented loneliness from becoming a heavy shadow that could trap the spirit in sadness forever. "It sounds like a heavy burden," Ethan said one evening, watching the stars blink outside the station windows. "It is," Valerie agreed, "but it is also a promise, a way to honor what was lost." Ethan felt a new respect for her. She was not just a commander with strict orders. She was someone carrying the weight of love and loss every day. But even with this understanding, the long hours together were not easy. Ethan was used to working alone or with busy teams. Sitting quietly with Valerie, sharing the same space but not talking much, felt strange. One night after finishing his reports, Ethan looked up and asked, "Do you ever miss him? Your husband, I mean." Valerie's eyes became distant. "Every moment." His name was Raltor. He was a great leader and a kind soul. The station feels emptier without him. Ethan nodded. "I'm sorry for your loss." She gave a small, almost shy smile. "Thank you. Your kindness is, unusual for a human. You do not pretend to hide your feelings." Ethan shrugged. "I guess humans are pretty open with emotions. Sometimes too much." Valerie looked at him with interest. "It is a strength." That night, Ethan realized something important. This was not just about a ritual or a tradition. It was about trust. Commander Valerie was trusting him to be there, not as a worker, but as a witness to her grief and strength. The following week, a new challenge arrived. The station's gravity. Controls started acting strangely. Small shifts caused objects to float for brief moments before snapping back. It was a problem that could cause serious accidents if left unchecked. Ethan was asked to help monitor the system. Valerie, as always, was there too. They spent long hours reviewing logs, checking data, and coordinating with engineers. During one tense evening, a sudden warning flashed on the console. A minor system failure was detected in the gravity regulator. Valery's calm voice broke the silence. Ethan, prepare for manual override. We need to stabilize the system immediately. Ethan swallowed hard, but nodded. Working together, they ran through the complex procedures. Valery's steady presence helped him focus. She gave clear instructions and encouragement without pressure. As the system stabilized, Ethan realized how much he had learned from her, not just about technology, but about patience and leadership. When the shift ended, Valery surprised him, again. She said, "You performed well under pressure, I am pleased." Ethan smiled. "Thanks, I couldn't have done it without you." She looked at him for a moment, then said quietly, "You are becoming more than a companion. You are an ally." Ethan felt warmth spread through his chest. It was a simple phrase, but it meant a lot. That night, after everyone else had left, Valery stayed longer than usual. She walked to the window and stared out at the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. Ethan hesitated, but then joined her. "Do you think you'll ever stop needing the ritual?" Valery shook her head slowly. "No, the loss will never disappear, but perhaps in time, the presence will change, from a burden to a bridge." Ethan looked at her and nodded. "I hope I can help build that bridge." She turned, to him, her silver eyes reflecting the distant stars. "You already have." For the first time, Ethan felt that this strange job, this unusual duty, was more than just work. It was a chance to be part of something meaningful, something bigger than himself. As the station's lights hummed softly around them, Ethan knew that whatever came next, he would face it not alone, but alongside Commander Valery. The station's usual quiet was shattered one evening by a sudden, sharp alarm. Ethan jumped in his seat, startled. The soft hum of the machinery was replaced by urgent beeps and flashing red lights across the control panels. Commander Valery appeared instantly at his side, her face calm but focused. "Ethan, the ion storm outside has caused a disruption. The external communication arrays are offline, and the core systems are unstable." Ethan swallowed hard. He had read about ion storms in his training, but this was his first real experience. These storms could cause severe damage to the station's delicate systems. "We need to reroute the data manually," Valery said without hesitation. "I will assist you." Ethan blinked. She had never worked with him directly like this before. Usually she stayed back, silent and distant, but now she was right beside him, ready to act. "Okay," Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "What's the first step?" Valery pointed at the console. "Access the backup systems. I will handle the core diagnostics." Together, they dove into the controls. Ethan's fingers flew over the holographic keyboard, running checks and adjustments as Valery guided him. The station shook slightly as the storm outside intensified, but inside, they worked with precision. Minutes stretched like hours. The lights flickered and the beeping alarms grew louder. Suddenly, a spark flew from one of the damaged panels near Ethan's console. The emergency lights bathed the room in a red glow. "Stay calm," Valery said firmly. "We must stabilize the power flow." "Ethan, divert all non-essential systems to auxiliary channels." Ethan nodded, following the instructions quickly. He could feel the tension in the air, but Valery's steady presence kept him focused. Slowly, the alarms began to quiet and the system started to come back online. The external communication arrays were still down, but the core was secure, for now. Valery let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "You handled that well." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. "I couldn't have done it without you. You're amazing at this." Valery's lips twitched in what might have been a smile. "Experience teaches." For the first time, Ethan saw a new side of her, not just the strict commander or the grieving widow, but a leader who faced challenges head-on. As the storm, Raged outside, they worked side by side, running checks and preparing reports for the next shift. Later, when the station quieted again, Ethan gathered the courage to ask, "Commander, why do you never leave my side during these hours? Not just today, but always?" Valerie looked at him thoughtfully. "Because you are here, human. Your presence reminds me that I am not alone, that even in darkness there is support." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. "I didn't realize I meant so much." "You do," she said simply. The next day, the station was busy with repairs. The engineers and technicians moved quickly to fix the damaged systems. Ethan was assigned to assist with inventory and logistics, but Valerie kept close. During a break, Ethan walked with her through one of the station's corridors. The walls were lined with soft blue lights that made the air feel calm. "I want to understand your culture better," Ethan said, "especially the rite of presence. It's important to you." Valerie nodded. "It is. Our species believes that spirits linger after death. The presence of the widow helps guide the spirit toward peace. Without it, the soul may become trapped in sorrow." "That must be very hard for you," Ethan said gently. "It is," Valerie admitted, "but it is also a duty to honor the past and protect the future." Ethan looked at her with new respect. "I'm glad I can be part of that." Valerie's eyes softened. "You are more than part. You are a bridge between worlds." As they reached the observation deck, Ethan gazed out at the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. "Do you ever think about the future?" Ethan asked. Valerie turned to him. "Sometimes, but the future is uncertain. The past is certain. I carry it with me." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to carry it alone." Valerie met his gaze and nodded slowly. "No, I do not." In that moment, a new bond formed between them, not just of work, but of trust and understanding. As the station continued its slow orbit, Ethan realized that his job was no longer just about logistics or data. It was about standing beside someone who had lost much but still chose to lead. And maybe, just maybe, he was learning to be a better human because of it. The orbital station drifted quietly around Gestari Prime, but inside the command center, Ethan's thoughts were far from peaceful. He had been working alongside Commander Valerie for weeks now, and every day he learned something new about her, the station, and the strange customs of the Gestari people. One evening, as the stars shimmered outside the wide observation window, Valerie did something unexpected. She motioned for Ethan to follow her out of the office, down a narrow corridor he had never explored before. Her steps were slow and deliberate. They stopped before a small private chamber. Inside, the lighting was soft and warm. In the center of the room rested a delicate crystal, glowing faintly with blue light. Ethan had never seen anything like it. Valerie looked at him quietly. "This is the memory stone of Raltor." Ethan's eyes widened. "Raltor was your husband, right?" She nodded. "Yes. This crystal holds his last recorded memories. It is sacred. Only I am allowed to see it." Ethan stepped closer, fascinated. The memory stone pulsed gently, as if alive. Valerie explained, "The Gestari use biocrystals to record moments, experiences, feelings, even thoughts. When a leader or important person dies, their memories are preserved in these stones. It is a way to keep their spirit alive." Ethan felt a strange mix of awe and sadness. "It must be hard to carry something so personal with you every day." Valerie's eyes softened. "It is a reminder of loss, but also of love. Raltor and I shared many years. His strength guided me. Now, his memory helps me lead." Then asked quietly, "Do you ever play the memories?" Valerie hesitated, then said, "Sometimes. It helps me feel close to him, but it can also bring pain." She reached out and touched the crystal. A soft glow spread through the room, and a faint image appeared, a figure standing proudly in a command chamber speaking with authority and kindness. Ethan watched in silence. He could feel the respect and affection Valerie held for Raltor. He realized that beneath her strong exterior was someone deeply human, carrying a heavy heart. Breaking the silence, Ethan said, "Thank you for sharing this with me. It means a lot." Valerie looked at him with something like gratitude. "You have been patient. You do not fear my past." Ethan smiled. "Everyone has a past. I'm just glad you trust me." For a moment the room was quiet except for the soft hum of the station. Then Valerie surprised Ethan again. "Why do humans show their emotions so openly? On Earth, do you often share your feelings?" Ethan laughed softly. "Sometimes too. Much. Humans are not very good at hiding feelings. But we believe that sharing helps us understand each other better." Valerie considered this. "It is a different way. Jastari tend to keep feelings private. Showing weakness can be dangerous." "Sometimes," Ethan said, "but sometimes it helps people heal." Valerie nodded slowly. "Perhaps there is wisdom in that." The following days passed with a new connection between them. Ethan felt closer to Valerie, not just as his boss, but as someone who trusted him with her most precious memories. One evening, as they worked late again, Ethan asked, "Do you think the memory stone will ever let you move on?" Valerie was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know. Some memories are too powerful, but I believe that with time, pain softens. The stone will always be part of me, but it will not control me." Ethan wanted to say more, but Valerie simply placed a hand on his arm and said, "Thank you for being here, Ethan." He felt a warmth inside, a feeling that went beyond duty or work. Then, the station's calm was disturbed by a sudden message from engineering. The gravity systems were showing instability again. The ion storm had left lingering damage. Valerie stood quickly. "We must check the consoles. There is no time to waste." Ethan followed her, ready to help. As they reached the control room, he realized something. No matter how heavy her past was, Valerie never stopped fighting for the station and its people, and no matter how strange the customs or the worlds around him, Ethan was determined to stand by her side, through every challenge and every quiet moment. The calm of Jastari Station was not meant to last. A few days after the Memory Stone had revealed more of Vaelri's past to Ethan, something strange began to happen. Systems that had been stable suddenly acted unpredictably. Power fluctuations appeared in different parts of the station, and data packets were delayed or lost. The engineers worked hard to find the cause, but the problems kept coming back. Ethan noticed something unusual in the repair logs. A small but repeated error kept showing up. Someone had been accessing the control systems without proper authorization. At first, he thought it was a technical glitch, but the pattern was too consistent to be accidental. He brought the information to Commander Vaelri immediately. She studied the data carefully, her silver eyes narrowing. "This is no accident. Someone is sabotaging the station." Ethan's heart raced. Sabotage? Why would anyone want to harm the station? And more importantly, who? Vaelri's expression hardened. "The Jastari Alliance has enemies. Rival species who seek to weaken our position in this sector. We must act quickly." She called a meeting with the senior officers. Ethan was surprised to be included. Vaelri trusted him more than he expected. During the briefing, the commander explained, "We believe the saboteur is trying to cause a reactor failure. If successful, it would destroy the station and kill everyone on board." Ethan swallowed hard. The weight of the situation pressed down on him. He was just a logistics analyst, but now he was part of something much bigger. Vaelri continued, "We will set a trap. We will monitor the systems closely and catch the saboteur when they try to strike again." Ethan was assigned to help analyze the network traffic, watching for unusual activity. Night after night he worked with Vaelri, poring over data and scanning for clues. One late evening, as the station orbited silently, Ethan spotted it. A hidden data stream that didn't belong. It was small and cleverly disguised, but it was there. "Commander," Ethan said quietly, pointing at the console. "I found something. Someone is trying to access the reactor controls remotely." Valery's eyes flashed with determination. "Good work, Ethan. We must act immediately." She organized a security team and prepared the station's defenses. Everyone was tense, waiting for the saboteur to make their move. Hours later, an alert sounded. Unauthorized access was detected near the reactor controls. Valerie and Ethan rushed to the control room. The saboteur was inside the system now, trying to override safety protocols. Valerie's voice was calm but firm. "Stop the attack. Lock down the reactor." Ethan helped execute the commands, his hands steady despite the danger. Suddenly, the saboteur appeared, a figure disguised as a technician. The security team moved in quickly to capture them. Valerie faced the intruder, her voice low. "Why do this? Why betray the Alliance?" The saboteur sneered. "Your reign will end. The rival species will take this sector. Your people are weak." Valerie's eyes burned with quiet fury. "We are stronger than you think." With the threat contained, the station slowly returned to normal. The engineers repaired the damage and the alarms faded. Ethan looked at Valerie with new respect. She was not just a commander mourning her loss. She was a protector, a warrior for her people. That night, as the station's lights dimmed, Valerie turned to Ethan. "You saved this station." Ethan shook his head. "We saved it. Together." She smiled faintly. "You are more valuable than you realize." Ethan felt proud, but also humbled. This was no longer just a job. It was a mission. And with Valerie by his side, he knew they could face whatever came next. The station was tense. After the sabotage attempt, security had increased everywhere. The crew was on high alert and every step echoed with caution. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him heavier than ever. Commander Valerie had trusted him, and now they were partners in defending the station. One quiet night, Ethan was working late in the control room when the alarm screamed again. Louder, more urgent. The lights flashed red as a warning signal filled the room. "Breach in the plasma containment," the automated voice announced. Valerie appeared instantly, her calm face masking the urgency in her eyes. "Ethan, follow me. We must reach the containment chamber immediately." The plasma containment chamber was deep within the station, a critical area that held volatile energy. A failure there could mean disaster. As they hurried down the corridors, the station shuddered. Sparks flew from damaged panels and the air was thick with tension. When they reached the chamber, the door was partially sealed. Flames licked the edges of the breach, and the plasma hissed dangerously close to the walls. Valerie barked orders to the emergency crew. "Activate the magnetic field, seal the breach." Ethan joined in, operating the controls with trembling hands. The fire flickered but did not die. Suddenly, the saboteur's accomplice appeared, a shadow moving quickly through the smoke. They lunged toward the control panel, trying to disable the safety measures. Valerie reacted without hesitation. She tackled the attacker, pinning them against the wall. "Stop," she commanded, her voice strong and steady. The attacker struggled, but Valerie's grip was firm. Ethan moved to call security. Just then, a surge of plasma exploded nearby, forcing them apart. The attacker ran down the corridor. Valerie turned to Ethan. "After them, I will handle the containment." Ethan sprinted after the saboteur, heart pounding. The narrow corridors twisted and turned as he chased the shadow through the station's maze. Meanwhile, Valerie stayed behind, working quickly to stabilize the chamber. Her fingers flew over the controls, redirecting power and sealing the breach. Back in the corridor, Ethan cornered the attacker near a maintenance hatch. They fought briefly. Ethan was not trained for combat, but adrenaline gave him strength. He managed to hold the attacker until security arrived, handcuffing the saboteur and taking them away. Breathing heavily, Ethan returned to the containment chamber, where Valerie was finishing the last steps. "The breach is sealed," she said quietly. "You did well." Ethan looked around at the scorched walls and damaged equipment. The danger was over, But the scars remained. For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the station systems returning to normal. Then Vial-Ree turned to Ethan. "Thank you for saving me." Ethan shook his head. "We saved each other." She nodded, eyes shining with a mixture of relief and something deeper. As they walked back to the control room, the silence between them was comfortable. No need for words. Ethan realized that through fire and danger, a bond had formed stronger than he expected. The widowed alien commander who never left his side was not just a leader or a survivor. She was a partner, someone who trusted him in the darkest moments. And Ethan knew no matter what challenges awaited, he would stand by her side. The weeks after the sabotage attempt and the plasma breach felt like a turning point on Justari Station. Repairs were underway, the crew worked with renewed energy, and the tension that had gripped the station began to ease. Yet for Ethan Wells, the changes ran deeper than just the station's restored systems. He noticed a shift in Commander Vial-Ree. The distant guarded woman he had first met was still there, but something new glimmered beneath her calm exterior. Trust, maybe even hope. One morning, Ethan arrived at the command center to find Vial-Ree already waiting for him. She didn't speak immediately, only looked at him with her soft silver eyes. Finally, she said, "Ethan, there is something I wish to discuss." Ethan nodded, curious. "Of course, Commander, what is it?" Vial-Ree stood and gestured toward the observation window, where the gas giant below swirled in endless clouds. "My mourning period is ending," she said. "The rite of presence will no longer bind me." Ethan remembered the stories about the ritual, the duty of a widow never to be alone during her grief, the way the Justari believed it helped the spirit find peace. "So what happens now?" Ethan asked. Vial-Ree looked out at the stars, then back to him. "I have been offered reassignment, to a command post far from here." Ethan's heart tightened. He had hoped she would stay. She was more than his boss. She had become someone he deeply respected. "But I have decided to decline the offer." Ethan's eyes widened. "You're staying?" "Yes." Vial-Ree's voice was steady. "Because I want you to stay as well." Ethan blinked, surprised. "Me? Here?" Vial-Ree nodded. "You have proven yourself capable and loyal. The station needs you." He smiled, a mix of pride and gratitude swelling inside him. "I'm honored, Commander." She returned the smile, faint but genuine. "You have stood by my side even when I did not ask. That is why I trust you." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. It was not just about the job or the station, it was about loyalty, trust, and the unspoken bond they had formed. In the days that followed, Ethan was promoted. He took on more responsibilities, working closely with Vial-Ree to lead the station's operations. Their partnership became a model for the crew, proof that trust between species, between people, could overcome any obstacle. One evening, as they stood together on the observation deck, Ethan asked, "Do you think you'll ever be free of the past?" Vial-Ree looked at the swirling storms of the gas giant below. "The past is part of me. It shapes who I am, but it does not control me." "And the future?" Ethan asked. "That is still unwritten," she said softly. "But I will face it. With you." Ethan nodded. "I'll be here, by your side." In that moment, the silence between them was filled with something unspoken, a promise of partnership, resilience, and hope. The stars outside continued their slow dance, but inside the station, a new story was beginning, a story of two unlikely allies, standing strong together against the vastness of space and the challenges ahead, a story of humanity, simple, determined, and never alone.